Hello and welcome to the channel. And for today's video, this is the year-end spectacular, the top 10s slash favorites action figures of 2024. Um, I don't think I'm gonna reach 10 figures for every line that I collected, but it's basically they're known as top 10s, but I think I'm gonna feature like around 5 or 6 figures of each line that I collect. But yeah, it was a pretty good year. Maybe a tad slower than previous years. But at the same time, there are a lot of figures that I did want that I couldn't get. So again, there's always the potential to have more. It's just that, availability and sometimes that dictates what you can and can't get at a certain time. Later on, we're gonna see a figure that I mentioned in last year's uh, end of video that I couldn't pick up that I did manage to pick up this year. So um, that's just how it goes sometimes. So we're gonna start off this video with some random, assorted figures that I picked up that don't quite fall under other categories because, just because of how random they are. Although I do have, for instance, I do have a somewhat, sizable superpowers collection, but it's mostly just like the main Justice League guys, right? So um, this year I managed to pick up the new Superman that released and the new Hal Jordan Green Lantern. Previously had the first release, which was I don't know if they called it the Hush Superman, and then the John Stewart Green Lantern. Um, but yeah, we finally got a Superman on a new mold that is closer to the vintage toy, although the face sculpt is updated. It's a little more. It kind of looks a little more like Neil Adams, sort of. Although, but it also evokes a little bit of the original vintage toy. Um, and then in front of the superpower figures, we've got these three Batman action figures. These are Spinmaster, 4-inch action figures. They released separately, but I got them in a 3-pack, um, a little more affordable. So you get a Batman Returns, Michael Keaton Batman. You get I believe this is the Batman Begins suit, and then you get the Batfleck Batman versus Superman. I believe that's the suit there. Um, in case well, I don't know if you're collecting these figures or not, but there was a previous release of when you got the Spin Master Batmobile from the Flash movie. You did get a couple of Batman figure. You got a Batman figure from that version, and you also got one of the Barry Allens that customized the one of the Batman suits. And the suits that and the suit that he customized was from the Batman's Return version. A lot of people were using different versions of that Flash to customize and make into Batman Return, Michael Keaton Batman's, repainting it and all that. I have the figure here, and just to compare, and you'll notice these are completely different sculpts, right? So just in case you were wondering, in terms of like the body and all of that, right? So with the boots and everything, everything is newly sculpted, and it does have a really cool likeness to Michael Keaton. Just need to sharpen those ears. So yeah, there's that. And then on the left, we've got the Mafex. Uh, I believe they call it. I don't know why they call it Night Crusader Batman, but it's the Nightfall Batman. Um, I got this off of Amazon Japan at a much cheaper price than trying to buy it here or somewhere in the states. It is a little quote unquote customized. The cape normally drapes uh, from behind or even with the shoulders. I had to unglue it and reattach it to so that it goes a little forward um, to the tip of the front of his to the front of his the cowl, which is also glued down. I don't. This is the he has some alternate like cowl pieces here, neck pieces, and he I there's a version that he has with a head sculpt that has like for him to go like underwater. He's got like a breathing apparatus, and you're supposed to switch out the cowl neck piece. That's the neck piece that they give you. But I prefer this version for me. I'm never gonna switch out and use. I'm actually gonna use the alternate head and the other cowl neck piece that has like the pointy shoulders. I'm gonna use that for another custom that I'm gonna work on that I just thought of just like yesterday or the day before. But that's a project for later in 2025. And then finally in the back we have a one of the few Black Series um, Star Wars figures that I have in my collection. I normally don't collect Star Wars that much. I mean, I have the random mod, you know, I mostly collect Luke's and Vader's, but although I do have a Kylo Ren, but yeah, I normally collect the vintage collection. But last year I did get, and I showed off in last year's year-end video, the Luke Skywalker from the Mandalorian, the season 2 finale. You know, the version, that version. So that's like my Return of the Jedi ish Luke, my preferred look for Luke Skywalker. So I needed a Vader to pair him with. So this year, or I don't know if it was this year that released, but I got him this year. The Archive Black Series edition of Darth Vader. I believe this is from a re-release or an improved version of the 2017 release. That's what at least that's what I saw in the box. And this is supposed to be like a New Hope episode for Vader, and so it's good to have him paired with my Luke. And then finally, even though the Batman figure there on next to Vader is not a new figure, but I did get him this year, so that's why I included him right here with the randoms. So that's a DC Direct Crisis on Infinite Earths Batman. Um, it was one of the last remaining like must have figures for me from back when I started collecting a handful of years ago. Uh, and luckily I saw him at the local toy flea market that we have here in TJ, and I picked him up. So and I'm probably going to customize one of the extra Nightfall McFarlane Batmans that I have into this version, which is basically the same. Just gonna give them the black trunks. And that's it for the random section of pickups of 2024. And on to the main ones. All right, so we're starting off, like I said, like the main quote unquote collection. We're starting off with Marvel Legends. So Marvel Legends was a line that I got a little more into late last year because of the release of the X-Men 97 line, mainly because of that. So I'm slowly building a roster of my X-Men Marvel Legends team. And this year, um, there was only a one wave released, uh, which is odd. I mean, the first wave released late last year, and the second wave released early this year. So I'm surprised we only got one wave. But anyway, so we have the Cyclops, the Jean Grey, um, and then in the back we have the Madeline Pryor Goblin Queen from the X-Men 97 line. The Jean Grey you probably saw if you're subscribed to the channel, and if you're not, you should. Thank you. I did make this the Jean Grey is customized. I did some adjusting of the for posability, so you better check out that video. And then in the middle we have Carnage. The Carnage. This is the Carnage, the recent Carnage on the retro Spider-Man card. Um, Although he does have pieces from previous released Carnage, mainly the head. I prefer the classic. Although the new head sculpt is a little more, um, I would say, comic book accurate, but this version is supposed to be from the cartoon. But anyway, it's weird because he's got all of the symbiotes look a little more like the comic book, but it's on the retro card for the comic book. Whoop, like a comic book version. So I don't know why they did that. But anyway, the he does have a parts like one of the hand is from the previous Carnage. Like I said, the head sculpt and the back piece that's got the tendrils are also from a previous Carnage. Um, and then you saw right there, I picked up the Warbird, um, one of the most sought after figures of 2024. Um, I would say overall, because of what the figure gave in terms of like extras and overall the figure itself, I would say is probably my favorite. And then on the left of the screen on the back, we've got the She-Hulk that also released on the Iron Man. I don't know what they call it, retro Iron Man card wave. Um, Again, that one, the She-Hulk is also customized, which there's also a video out. Better check that out. And oh yeah, so these are my favorite Marvel Legend figures of 2024. And on to Classified series. Classified was a pretty good year. We got a bunch of great figures that released, um, and some that I didn't even put up on that I got here. But yeah, these are pretty much my favorites of 2024. So, well, we got a the retro line is now picking up steam, and a lot of the early figures that got released on the in the classified series line are going out in the retro card with the retro styling, and I think a lot of people are leaning hard on those. So this year we got, um, of course, up front we've got Duke, Scarlet in the middle, Cobra Commander, which released a few months ago, and Beachhead. All right. The for those who have been on my subscribed to my channel for a while or have checked out my videos, know that I did a custom on the original Scarlet that released to have her look a little closer to the Sambo version. Even though this latest retro Scarlet is not supposed to be the Sambo version, this is just a updated version of the vintage Real American Hero figure, uh, which the Sambo version is based off of. But still, there are minor changes here and there. Um, but basically, this version of Scarlet is the one that a lot of people were hoping we would get from the get go. Of course, the Cobra Commander. Um, this version of Cobra Commander first released on the HasLab His Tank, although that version comes with the infamous quote unquote Mickey Mouse Cobra logo. Um, but eventually we knew that we were going to have to get a solo release, and we have him right here. And then Beachhead. The first Beachhead that released on the classified line is actually a really cool action figure, and he's pretty close to his, retro vintage style. Just different colorations of shades of blue. I'm sorry, greens and browns and all of that. But he pretty much was a close representation of the original. Um, but I still wanted this beachhead. For the most part, um, I'm gonna, you know, I've decided that I'm probably gonna start collecting the retro line mostly, and the pick up new releases here and there, where I know that it may be difficult to pick up a retro version of that release. Like for instance, in the back we have the recently released Storm Shadow version 2. Um, Eventually, I know we're gonna get the retro version, which is probably just gonna be uh, everything that you see, like the shins are probably not gonna be painted black, are probably gonna be white. I removed that his I don't know, whatever you call that he has. He had like a belt and something hanging off, like some padding. I'm not too wise to what ninjas wear, so pardon if I'm butchering whatever that is called. Um, they're probably gonna be releasing a retro carded Storm Shadow 2 sometime in the future, but I wanted to assure myself to get this version just in case I can't get my hands on that version, much like the original Storm Shadow that released on the classified series line. If you hear that, that's my dog. She's drinking some water. So I did. I was never able to get the retro carded Storm Shadow version 1. So I got I did get, but I did get the classified series regular release. So I wanted to make sure to get this version first. Then next to Storm Shadow, we have Big Boa. Big Boa, one of those, I guess you could say, over the top Cobra those over-the-top Cobra characters. You compare him with your bigger Joes like Sergeant Slaughter, Gung Ho, Roadblock, and all of that, and it won't look so ridiculous. And then, like I mentioned earlier, um, one of the figures that I wanted to get that released last year, but I couldn't until early this year. We have Agent Helix on the left. That figure, I just couldn't never find her in stores, and I'm mostly an in-store collector, but I had to rely for certain figures just to get them online. It's just there's a certain feeling you get when you find the figures in store versus buying them online, right? Uh, but anyway, if you're not if you're a collector, you know what I'm talking about, right? But anyway.